So I turn to the second speaker, panelist, Raed Charafeddine, first Vice Governor of Banque du Liban, and former banker. So you have both, I would say, the multilateral dimension and the binocular vision of the private and the public sector. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've titled my intervention today is Banque du Liban's Policies Bridging Between Finance and Economy. At a time of secular stagnation, where world economies have been striving to regain their paths towards growth, sustainability, and prosperity, central banks have seized the momentum to assume their new roles. After the 2008 crisis, central banks have shifted from being pure regulators, overseeing the financial sectors, into important players in the real economies. They are no longer only required to preserve financial stability and to adhere and implement international best practices and standards, but more recently, they have been mandated to develop unconventional monetary policies to stimulate the core of their economies. Job creation, real economic growth, and social development have become their new priorities. Banque du Liban, Lebanon's central bank, being the avant-gardiste that it is, did not need to shift any of its functions to undertake unconventional monetary policies, as it was mandated by law to safeguard monetary as well as economic stability. The classical dichotomy, or the dissociation between real and monetary variables, was never recognized nor applied. In effect, for the past 2 decades, Banque du Liban did not spare any efforts to ensure the resilience and success of the Lebanese banking sector, the backbone of the Lebanese economy, in the midst of political and security risks which have constantly threatened the financial sector. Despite the latter, the past 20 years have been characterized by strong monetary policy, conventional and otherwise, a conservative and stable modern financial sector, and most importantly, sustained growth. More recently, at a time of economic distress due to the internal and regional turmoil, especially the repercussions of the Syrian crisis on the Lebanese economy, Banque du Liban introduced its first stimulus package in 2013, and given its palpable results, Banque du Liban renewed this stimulus for 3 consecutive years with an average of more than $1 billion per year. These credit incentives provided through the banking sector have played a key role in boosting and supporting the numerous segments of the Lebanese economy. Support of the traditional sectors through productive loans, development of human capital and entrepreneurship through education, research and development as well as knowledge and innovation loans, reinforcement of the middle class through housing loans, and preservation of the environment through green incentives. The importance of these catalytic endeavors lies in their sizable contribution to real GDP and their momentum in job creation. On the other hand, BDL acknowledged that economic growth and financial stability can only be sustainable if they are inclusive. And in this regard, BDL conceived a new and innovative engineering scheme that would motivate the youth, Lebanon's most promising capital, to unleash their potential in Lebanon rather than abroad, and to push the limits of innovation and creativity to a whole new level. BDL enabled banks and indirectly venture capitals and accelerators and incubators to participate for the first time in the capital of the startups. The Lebanese knowledge economy has been capitalized with around $600 million to date to be utilized as equity financing. BDL has effectively planted the first seeds for real inclusive growth, economic growth. The momentum that it has created cannot be overlooked. The number of startups and various players in the ecosystem are growing exponentially. The introduction of equity financing has undoubtedly expanded the Lebanese financial market, yet to mitigate any risks, the central bank has guaranteed itself any capital participation in startups. This fact has strengthened financial stability in Lebanon, eliminating any room for uncertainties or systemic risks. Additionally, launching this initiative has created a positive snowball effect, paving the way for further developments in the Lebanese capital markets with the upcoming launching of the SME stock market in the very near future. Last but not least, the global financial environment is constantly changing, creating new risks and challenges, both regionally and locally. BDL's success lies in the ability to quickly adapt to shifting trends. As such, the central bank recently introduced a new financial engineering scheme that was able to minimize risks and increase the availability of foreign reserve, its main buffer. BDL was thus able to attract billions of dollars to Lebanon, increasing foreign assets to a record high of $41 billion, and given that our GDP is only $52 billion, so the central bank reserves mounted up to almost $41 billion. Such an initiative had a direct impact on the main economic indicators. A positive balance of payment, turning a cumulative deficit of $1.7 billion in May 2016 into a surplus of $555 million in September 2016. And as you well know, the spillover of the Syrian crisis that has impacted our balance of payment drastically. An improvement in government debt profile by reducing the cost of borrowing from 6.4% to 5%, and by gaining a more favorable credit ratings by international agencies. An increase in the growth rate of deposits, 5% annually after the financial engineering scheme, as opposed to 2% ex ante, and an expansion of the bank's credit portfolios in the Lebanese pound, the Lebanese currency, which in turn increases the money multiplier effect, fostering economic activity. The link between finance and economy has never been a simple one. Yet, the experience of Banque du Liban has proven that the right financial policies, when designed with a clear and targeted economic objectives, can create boundless synergies. And as long as the Lebanese financial and banking models remain resilient, inclusive, and strong, so will our economy. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much indeed, Mr. Governor. I have to say that you respected the rule, the brevity of your introductory exposition remarkably well. As I have to say, we are all amazed of what has been done by Bank of du Liban and the Lebanese economy in the most dramatic circumstances one could imagine. So it's, I think it's to illustrate resilience. The Lebanon is incredibly striking. I mean, we are all impressed. Thank you so much.